Good morning, first grade. So, as you might know, I am right now not allowed to read those small, thin books that I sent home with you. They're green on the back. Some of you got 4 or 5 of them, some of you got 10 of them. So right now we're talking about those little books. So since I'm not allowed to read them on YouTube right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do your own mini lesson with those books. So step 1 is to read the book accurately. And when we say accurately, we mean getting the words correct. This is where you're going to be using your strategies over here when you're stuck on a word. For some of you, that will start with getting your mouth ready by making the first sound in the word. All of us can figure words out by putting sounds together. Some of us will look for chunks inside of words that we know, if it's a longer word. Flipping the vowel can help, all right? But most importantly, and this is for everyone, if you're reading something and it doesn't make sense, you need to stop and go back and try it again. So step 1 is to read through that book accurately. And if it's slow, if you get stuck a lot, and it takes you a while to figure out the words, that's okay. This is just step 1, and your job is to read through the book accurately. So go ahead and do that. Okay, let's look at step 2. Now that you've read through the book, working on figuring out those words, I want you to go back and read the book again. This time, our goal is to be focusing on understanding what the author is telling us. Getting through those tricky words should be easier this time because you've already muddled through them. If there were any hard ones right for you. So this time, read the book again. If you get stuck, of course, use our strategies as we always do to figure out those words. But this time, I would like you to focus more on understanding what the author is telling us. Okay, go ahead and do that. For step 3, now I would like you to pick a specific purpose for your third reading of the book. If you are reading a fiction text, a pretend story, you have a few choices. You could read it thinking about how you might retell that story using beginning, middle, and end, retelling the story in order. So you're going to focus on the events that happen in the story and what order they happen in so that you could retell it afterwards. You could choose to read it and think about how you would tell the story by describing the characters, the problems those characters have, and the solution to their problems. You might read it this third time thinking about what the theme is to this story. Now remember, theme is sort of a large lesson that the author wants us to think about and understand. Examples that we've talked about in class include friendship, working hard, being yourself. The theme is often a short sentence or a phrase that explains sort of the lesson the character or the author wants us to learn from the book. If after your second time through there's still a lot of words in there that you don't know, you could read it this last time and anything that you're still unable to figure out, just write those words down. Okay? If you're not getting stuck on any words by this point, don't choose this one, okay? If you're reading a nonfiction text, here's the big one, the main idea. We've had a lot of practice with this one. Some texts this is easy, some it's hard. Okay, don't worry too much about whether or not you're getting it right. What makes us better readers is thinking about these things, even if we don't always get the right answer here. So remember, the main idea is the big, most important idea that the author wants us to understand in a nonfiction text. Often in nonfiction texts, we're being introduced to a new idea, new science material, and sometimes there will be words in there that we don't know. So if you, after your second time through the book, are still stuck on a bunch of words, you could also, with nonfiction, choose to read through it this third time and write down those words that you don't know. Go ahead and do step 3. Now for step 4, now that you've read the book a third time with a specific purpose in mind, you're going to use your thinking from that last read through to do a quick write. This is not a long 20-minute writing session. This is the type of writing that we usually do in class on these little half sheets of paper. Okay, you've done this many times before. Remember, this is about getting your ideas down on the paper, not about making your handwriting perfect or making sure everything's spelled perfectly. This is about quickly getting your thinking from your reading down on paper. Okay, if you read a fiction text, you would have chosen one of these. Retell the story in the beginning, in the middle, at the end. Character, problem, solution, or what the theme is. So you can pause the video here, take out a blank piece of paper with lines on it, or your notebook, and you can start by copying the beginnings of the sentences there. In this one, you could write down main character, and then a blank, problem, and then a blank, and solution, and a blank, and just answer each one with one sentence or a few words, okay? If you're going to write about the theme, you could start your sentence by saying the theme in this story is. Don't forget, some themes have more than, or some stories have more than one theme. If you read a nonfiction text, you might want to start your quick write with this sentence stem here. The main idea in the text is, okay? And for either fiction or nonfiction, if you chose to read through and just write down the few remaining words that you couldn't figure out, you can just write this sentence, words I don't know, and then underneath that, write down the words you don't know, which you can later use to ask a family member who could help you figure out those words. Okay, so this video can be used over and over and over again with different books. Okay, you can really use this with almost any type of book. Keep reading first grade, and I will be in touch soon. Great job.